to Toronto at Rogers Center today. It is Dave Steve bobblehead day as the Detroit Tigers and the Toronto Blue Jays wrap up their season series. Dave Steve, the author of the only Blue Jays no-hitter in franchise history, being honored today. He himself is passing out Dave Steve bobblehead dolls as the fans are making their way inside the ballpark. Hello, everybody. I'm Buck Martinez along with Pat Tabler. And Pat, oftentimes in baseball, we think the ninth inning is when the game is decided. In yesterday's ball game, it may have happened in the first inning.
It certainly did with Brandon Morrow on the mound. The Tigers at the plate. They pick up a double after Morrow fell behind Will Rhymes. A double. He is going to be at second base. Now, Jim Leyland is going to try and get an early lead. A bunt. Maybe he shouldn't have swung at that bunt. Gets it down. The Blue Jays execute this play beautifully. They take one throw to get the runner at second and a heads-up play by Escobar to get Santiago, an ill-advised play there. Brandon Morrow then, instead of having a very tough first inning, strikes out Johnny Damon. That's just 12 pitches for Morrow as he sets down the Tigers.
And the Blue Jays defense in that first inning set the tone for the Blue Jays offense in the bottom of the first as they cashed in on some poor base running by the Tigers.
And then the the walk by Fred Lewis to start the inning, a base hit by Escobar, then who else? Jose Bautista comes up against Figueroa and drives the ball into the gap in right center field. Now think about it. Instead of being down by a couple of runs to the Tigers in the first, Jose Bautista's triple puts the Blue Jays up by a couple of runs in the first inning. Confidence, I think, over in that third base dugout for the Blue Jays.
And Vernon Wells would make it a 3-run inning. Blue Jays would end up leading 3-0 after first. Mark Zubchinski goes to the mound today. He's trying to make an impression for that fifth spot in the rotation. When we come back, we'll talk more about Blue Jays pitching.
Oh, I remember they had the air show going, so just went around.
Baseball inside as the Blue Jays are set to wrap up their season series against the Tigers. And Pat, Mark Zepchinski goes to the mound today against the Detroit Tigers, and the one thing we know pretty certain is the top four in the rotation. The big question marks for the offseason into next spring training is who's going to be that fifth starter next year.
And there's going to be some competition for that fifth starter spot. Last year, if you look at some of the players who have pitched in that fifth role this year, they really haven't grabbed the baton and run with it. Mark Zepchinski's been battling some injury problems. Jesse Litch hurt once again. Mills and Talent have made starts here and there, and they've done okay, but not one of these guys have taken it. I think, though, as they get some experience and they have a good spring, any one of these four guys could go out there and do a good job for Aceto Gaston.
Well, the one thing that really happens when you see Zepchinski's when he's good, as he was against the Angels on August 13th, it makes you think that he could be that guy.
Well, he certainly can, because he's got good stuff. He's got four pitches, and when he throws them over for strikes and he throws them over in good places, Mark Zepchinski certainly can win ball games. He showed that last year.
Well, we know what the competition has done for the top four in the rotation, and I'm sure the competition will be the same in that fifth spot. The one thing about this pitching staff, the future is very bright. And for more on the future of this pitching staff, let's check in with Sam Cosentino.
Buck, this Blue Jays rotation continues to be a topic of discussion, and for good reason. Not only is it a super talented group, but it's a group that's young in age. Mark Zepchinski turns 25 today. The average age of the staff, 25.6 years old. You look at Sean Markham, you think he's been around here 100 years, but he's only 28 years old and continues to be the leader of this fine staff. Getting back to Mark Zepchinski, really needs to get on top of the ball, work downhill. They'll be looking for him to do that today in order to have success going back to his last very successful start, August 13th, against L.A. Meanwhile, you want to talk about age? How about Rick Porcello? Made his big league debut right here at the Rogers Center last year at 21 years old and went on to lead All-American League rookies with 14 wins. This second season, this sophomore season, hasn't been quite the same ride. After a stint in the minor leagues, he has come back to the Tigers. He has pitched extremely well. Look for him to keep the ball on the ground, keep the ball in the park, hasn't given up a home run in his last 4 starts, and he will look to repeat his last start performance, 7 scoreless against Kansas City.
Dave Stieb, one of the best pitchers ever to wear a Blue Jays uniform. He leads the franchise in wins. He was a 7-time All-Star. Started the All-Star game in '83 and '84. Dave Stieb, truly a dominant pitcher.
Homeowners helping homeowners.
Welcome back to Rogers Center. Blue Jays take the field for this fourth and final game of the Tigers series. Jim Leyland's Tigers will move on after this to take on the Minnesota Twins. Let's take a look at the Tigers lineup. Blue Jays done a good job of holding the lineup in check with runners in scoring position. 3 for 34 during the series. During this series, Miguel Cabrera, 4 hits, 2 home runs, but really hasn't had a major impact offensively for Jim Leyland's team, as the Blue Jays pitchers have really pitched him tough.
He's got the great average and the home runs, but they are doing a good job of getting the players out ahead of him. So when he comes up and he steps up in big situations, there aren't the runners all over the bases. That is the lineup that Mark Zebchinski will face this afternoon. Zebchinski takes the mound, looking for his second win of the season. He is trying to rebound from his shortest career start. That was just 3 innings on Tuesday when the Yankees got him 11-5. Zebchinski allowed 6 runs. In the final inning that he worked in that game against the Yankees, they hit 3 home runs. He's 0-1 in 2 starts this season here at Rogers Center, and he has never faced the Detroit Tigers, making his debut against the Tigers. Today's scouting report is brought to you by TD. Banking can be this comfortable. For Mark Zebchinski, you've got to drive that fastball down. He's got good movement. When the ball is up, that's when he runs into trouble. Benders for strikes. He's got to throw his curveball for strikes. He's got a good curveball. It's a lot like Ricky Romero's, a lot of movement on it. And for him, he's just got to execute his pitches. He won't blow the ball by you, but if you execute pitches, Mark Zebchinski certainly can make a difference in this pitching staff.
Defensively behind Zebchinski, you see Jose Bautista. He's at third base this afternoon. Some changes outfield with Lewis, Wells, and Snyder. Travis Snyder in right field today as Bautista moves to third. Edwin Encarnacion's been placed on the disabled list with that wrist problem. John McDonald, a 6th start at shortstop. Hill and Adam Lynn on the right side, and Jose Molina catching for a 2nd day in a row. We are all set to play. Austin Jackson, first pitch of the game, hit to the shortstop. John McDonald on the money. 1 pitch, 1 out.
Well, that's what you want when you have a new left side of the infield for this afternoon, is get that first one out of the way very quickly. Johnny Mack with his 6th start, like you said, at shortstop. Juno Escobar having a little problem with his back, some back problems, so he will get the start at shortstop. And you saw Bautista making his 34th start at third base.
So there's 1 out now for Zebchinski. Will Rhymes, the second baseman. Rhymes was the leadoff hitter in yesterday's game. Today he drops down to the 2 spot. Austin Jackson did not play yesterday. Ball on the strike. You mentioned the key to Zebchinski, just like anybody else, even Brandon Morrow, as hard as he throws, locating that fastball, good spots down in the zone.
Yeah, I think more so for Zebchinski because he's got good movement when he stays on top of the ball. But for him, his last start, the ball was really rising. His lower half looked like it was getting out in front of him a little bit too much. The arm dragged a little bit. Fastball was up, and the Yankees made him pay for it.
2 balls and a strike, 1 out. Ball's down but low. Rhymes got things going for the Tigers yesterday. He hit a 3-2 pitch down the left field line for a leadoff double. But that's where the wheels came off for the Tigers, as they ran into a couple of outs. There's the 1-out walk issued by Zebchinski.
That's what it means about executing pitches. You got your number 2 hitter up. You got to attack him.
Now Ryan Rayburn moves up into the 3 spot today. Rayburn was down in the order. He hit 6th in yesterday's lineup. He's been on a hot streak, 9-game hit streak, over 350. A couple good-looking young players in this lineup. Rayburn's one of them, along with Jackson and Brennan Bosch, Casper Wells. That first pitch strike.
I like that Casper Wells. We got a chance to watch him for the first time in this series. He's got all the tools, I think, to be a pretty decent player for the Tigers.
Tigers have had the luxury of getting all these young players a lot of experience this year. Look at Wells and Jackson in the center field position. Inside corner for a strike, 0-2. First inning here at Rogers Center. Blue Jays have won 2 of the first 3 games against the Tigers. Way outside, skips past Molina. Rhymes will move into second. Should be a wild pitch.
And that will be Zepchinski's 3rd of the season. Looked like he tried to quick pitch with the runner at first base. No leg kick and just went out there a little bit too quick. Turned that fastball over too much. And it'll go as a wild pitch, and the importance of that is it takes the double play out.
We saw young Alfredo Figueroa have trouble in the first yesterday with his command. Got him. Good changeup. Swing and a miss as Rayburn goes down.
He's got some good depth to his pitches, meaning that he can get it off of one plane and put it on another. The ball goes straight down as Rayburn swings over the top of it. Watch where it came down, and good job by Molina to dig it out and keep it in front of him.
So they're 2 down now with the runner in scoring position. Miguel Cabrera. Outside. 11-game hit streak, and anytime he puts a hit streak together, you can see there's a lot of damage involved. 5 home runs, 10 RBI during that 11-gamer. Off-speed pitch for a strike.
Something about the daytime also for Miguel Cabrera. He's got huge numbers hitting in the daytime. He leads all American League players with 16 home runs and 60 driven in. You could see it. I think in a dark tunnel, you'd be able to see the baseball.
He could hit in a cave for sure. Ball and strike. Way outside. I don't think Jose Molina is being overly aggressive with Cabrera in this situation. Got a base open. First inning. Cabrera is the league leader in RBI with 106. Got a little room to work. See if you can't get him to chase.
And if you walk him, no big deal. You'll take your chances with Johnny Peralta.
Right field. Travis Snyder on the run. He won't get it. Bottom of the wall in right. Rhymes comes around to score. Cabrera's headed to second. We had talked about it all series long. Literally foul pole to foul pole, and he gets Tigers on the board early.
His home runs went to deep left field. One off the left field foul pole, one into left center field. And if you need to come up with a big base hit, that's your man right there. Watch how he stays on this ball. Down, and he slices it to right field. Cabrera will pick up another RBI and 2 total bases. That will give him now 300 total bases on the season.
Tremendous hitter. His 41st double of the season. And he's at second now in scoring position for Johnny Peralta. First pitch strike.
Think about that. 300 total bases. 3 years in a row now for Miguel Cabrera.
And hitting in a lineup that's not laden with an awful lot of support. His big winger, Magler Ordonez, is out for the season.
Read an article today about a Detroit writer talking about they need to get somebody to hit behind him for a little protection next year, preferably a left-hander, somebody who is a threat. So those intentional walks, 27 of them this year, those go down next year.
Well, and Jim Leyland knows that it doesn't make much of a difference who is hitting behind Cabrera. There are some people, and I'd like to get your opinion on this, that think the people ahead of a good hitter are more important than people behind them. Getting those guys on base.
I think that's a great point. I mean, I'd love to see Cabrera come up all the time with nobody on base. They have a Jackson and a Johnny Damon, people with some speed who are always on base. It puts a little bit more pressure on that pitcher, and maybe he'll make you a mistake.
Strike 3 called. Zepchinski drops the curveball on Peralta. They didn't think it got the inside corner. But Zepchinski comes up with the strikeout to end the first. McCurveball gets Peralta, strands a runner, but the Tigers take an early lead. Jose Molina, the catcher, having a conversation about possibly the way Cabrera put that ball in play. John Buck, who is DHing today, always joins in. You can see Cabrera talking about, Molina talking about Cabrera, where he hit that ball, but truly one of the best hitters in the game.
And you see Cito Gassi saying, sinker, sinker, sinker. Keep the ball away from him. Don't let him swing at anything.
Well, Jose Bautista, he has filled in admirably in that third spot over the course of the season. In this series, he's worn out the Tigers. 6 for 9. 6 extra base hits in the series, including 2 home runs, and he's driven in 4 in this series. Different lineup for the Blue Jays. McDonald's in the 2 spot. John Buck's the DH, and Molina's behind the plate. Fred Lewis leads things off. Lewis is in left field. He was the DH in yesterday's game. Takes the ball from Rick Porcello. 0-2.
It's been an up and down season for Rick Porcello. This is a guy who won 14 games last year as a rookie for the Detroit Tigers. Sinker ball pitcher who now is starting to use multiple pitches to get batters out. Spent some time down in the minor leagues refining his delivery and his pitches. Porcello just 21 years old. He won't be 22 till December. Think about that. He's got a year under his belt already.
Yeah, there are a lot of good young impact type players on this roster. On the ground to third, Inge quickly in, on the run, throws a strike to Cabrera, 1 out.
Let's look a little bit closer at young Rick Porcello. Slider and a changeup early. That's one of the things that he has done a little bit differently since he has come back from the minor leagues, using those other pitches early in the count. He's still sinking that fastball. He's got a great ground ball to fly ball ratio, one of the best in all of baseball, and he's really growing as a pitcher. He was talking earlier this season about he has never failed at anything he has ever done before. He just didn't really know how to handle it when batters started making adjustments. But he is growing as a pitcher, and I think he's going to be very good.
John McDonald, late addition into the lineup. Junel Escobar, the regular shortstop's dealing with some back soreness, so he's not in the lineup today. Bounced wide of third. McDonald making his 6th start at shortstop. Obviously, early in the season, Alex Gonzalez was there every single day. McDonald has started at second, third, short, and left. Junel just a little bit sore, according to his manager.
Nothing to worry about.
Johnny Mack came into the game defensively in the 8th inning, taking over for Edwin Encarnacion, and actually got a base hit in his only at bat. And after the slider, Porcello gets his first strikeout.
Doesn't have a lot of them. Porcello is not a fireballer where he gets a lot of strikeouts. He tries to put the ball in play, pitch to contact, but he'll pick up a strikeout here against Johnny McDonald with a good breaking ball.
So Porcello will work with 2 outs and nobody on to Jose Bautista. Up and away at 94 off the glove of Avila. 6 hits in the series, 6 extra base hits. 2-run triple in the first in yesterday's game set the tone for the Blue Jays. Pop this one up. Shallow left field. Inge in fair territory makes the play. 3 up, 3 down for Porcello. After 1, the Tigers have a 1-0 lead.
Quadron TV and Blu-ray player. Enter online at hitahomerunwithsharp.ca. Sharp Aquos with Quadron technology. You have to see it to see it.
Beautiful afternoon here at Rogers Center. Brandon Inge will lead things off for the Tigers. Inge 1 for 11 in this series. It's off the disabled list. Had a broken hand. Hit just .222 since his return.
His value is on the defensive end. He made 3 plays in yesterday's game that were sensational. Heads-up plays. Probably saved 3 or 4 runs.
He's such an athlete. Has a good arm, quick feet, great hands, and he's played all over the field. So he's got a perspective of everything on the field.
You know, after watching him now for a few years, you know what he also has out there? He's got great baseball instincts. Really understands the game, strengths and weaknesses, things like that. Knows what he can do. Always trying to help his team win a ball game.
Inge in a hole, a ball and 2 strikes. Breaking ball catches the outside corner. 3rd strikeout for Zepchinski. He drops that hook on the corner.
When he stays on top of his breaking ball, I think he's got a Ricky Romero type curveball. Look at the bend on that breaking ball. It's quick. Right-handers give up on it, and it is in a perfect place, right on the outside corner.
1 out, the left-hander Brennan Bosch takes the first pitch fastball up and away. Bosch had a rough day yesterday. 3 strikeouts and was hit by a pitch. Plus, he was charged with an error in the outfield.
All against his old roomie, too. Hitting.
3 strikeouts at the hands of Brandon Morrow. Morrow and Bosch were college roommates at the University of California. 1-1. Breaking ball lifted into right field. Snyder broke back. Now he's got to come in, and he gets there in time. 2 down. So Zebchinski's in a pretty good spot in the second inning. Made a quick adjustment after a rocky first inning. Down in his zone, getting his breaking ball over and using that very good fastball.
He's got a good fastball with movement. I think that's the key for him. We got a quick glimpse of that in between innings about Zebchinski using that fastball darting away from the right-handers. If you can get that going and you get those righties leaning out over the plate, that's where that breaking ball is going to be even better.
Casper Wells fouled off the first pitch. Wells had 2 hits in the game yesterday. He didn't come into the game until he entered as a pinch hitter in the 8th. And had a big double, a 2-run double in the 9th off Kevin Gregg. Gloved by Bautista on the line. Wells is retired. I don't care where you put it. He comes up big defensively. Starting at third base today, snares a line drive off the red-hot bat of Casper Wells. 3 up, 3 down inning for Zebchinski. A great vantage point here at Rogers Center. You can't ask for a better seat than that. Front row watching the Blue Jays.
Did they bring their sunscreen? They're going to need it today down there.
Vernon Wells will start things off against Rick Porcello. Porcello retired the Jays 1-2-3 in the first. Tigers up 1-0. Miguel Cabrera with a RBI double in the first. 1 for 13 during the series for Vernon Wells. Takes a first pitch fastball. Cut on and missed. Good sinker from Porcello.
That's what you will see from Rick Porcello. Good curveball, good slider. He was talking after his last start that he's starting to incorporate all of his pitches. Fastball, the slider, sinker, curve, change, something like that at any given point. A pitch that I could throw to get somebody out.
1-2. Well, we've got a piece of it. You mentioned Porcello talked about not knowing how to deal with failure. And it's really not unusual when you think about the level of talent of everybody on the field. They've all had success. They've all been stars wherever they've been. And it's a real challenge for a player at 21 years old to deal with it. Pulled on the ground to shortstop. Johnny Peralta has it. Wells is retired. But when you think about the level of talent Rick Porcello came out of Seton Hall Prep, first-round draft pick, played in Lakeland his first year pro ball, and then went to the big leagues.
Yeah, 24 starts in Lakeland in 2008. Had a good year down there. That was about where he should have been, given his age. But he was so good, had such a good spring, came up and really had a great year last year. 14 wins last year at the age of 20.
Adam Lind, a couple of hits in yesterday's game. Over his last 19, hitting .320. Drives this ball to left field, but Rayburn is there. Going to be able to make the catch in front of the warning track. 2 outs.
Let's take a look at the rest of the Detroit Tiger defense. They had a streak of 6 straight errorless games, broken yesterday with the error by Bosch in right field. Today's battery, Alex Avila and Rick Porcello, 2 very young, promising players. And we mentioned Inge, and we highlight Brandon Inge because of those great plays he made yesterday. Travis Snyder robbing him of a base hit, the play at the plate to get Snyder. Solid player.
John Buck DHing for the first time this season. He said, I don't know what to do with myself if I'm not catching. Good numbers since he's come back from that lacerated thumb. 375. Gets jammed on an inside fastball. I told him to run down in between at bats and catch a few guys in the bullpen.
Not a bad idea, right? Maybe go chart some pitches. Go in and listen to our broadcast. How about that?
He's going to be a mess all day long. I'm balling a strike. Except fastball inside. It is different. I've never DH'd, obviously, but you've DH'd, I'm sure, and you have to make some adjustments.
It's like pinch hitting 4 times.
Yeah.
And you know how that is. Pinch hitting, it's awful. Go up there, you don't get into any kind of rhythm or anything like that. But the main thing is you're in the lineup.
Yeah, and that's the one thing, you know. And Cito Gaston did a good job with a couple of young hitters early on. Fred McGriff and Cecil Fielder, when they first came up the Blue Jays. Both first basemen, he didn't have a chance to play them all the time at first, so he used them in a DH spot. They both fared pretty well through their career. Bouncing ball just foul at third. Inge makes the play, but in foul ground. But Adam Lind is another young hitter that's primarily been a DH through the early part of his career.
You know what young hitters worry about, though, when they DH when they're young, that they're going to get a label, that they can't play defense. I don't think that's the case with some of the players like you just mentioned. Certainly not Adam Lind. He's certainly capable of playing in the field.
Both Fred McGriff and Cecil Fielder became very good defenders, very good first basemen, and Fielder was a much better athlete than people might be aware of. Another good slider from Porcello. He gets John Buck. Porcello has 2 strikeouts. He's retired 6 straight Blue Jays. Good location with this breaking ball. Dave Steve threw out the first pitch. Today, the 20th anniversary celebration of his no-hitter. He threw it to Brandon Morrow, and certainly a lot of great former Blue Jay players here to help share with this great moment, and we are pleased to be joined now by Dave Steve himself. Dave, congratulations. Pretty special day for you.
Oh, yeah, very special, very emotional. Yeah, I'm having a great time. It's a great day.
There's a base hit to left field by Alex Avila to start things off here in the third inning. Dave, obviously you came into the organization at a time where everybody was kind of learning, and I know you just told me, and I'm going to share this information with people, is the Bobby Maddock impact of your career and this organization in general. You saw him up there on the board talking about your career. Talk about a little bit about his impact in your history of in your career.
Well, Bobby's one of the first people that I met in this organization when he scouted me that day when I was in college, and he saw me pitch and threw out the idea of me being a pitcher. So I've known him from day one, and you know, to join the organization and to see what an impact that he had on it, and the dedication he had not only to the game but this organization and the players, it was tremendous. And seeing him up there, you know, opening up the video was just. It just filled me with so many emotions. It was, wow, it was tough.
What specifically did he tell you when you were a young player, when you were trying to make the transition from an outfielder to a pitcher?
He just said, we like the way you pitch, and you know, we want you to be a pitcher. And I didn't know their situation in the big leagues, and they obviously didn't have much pitching, so that was the whole idea behind that. And they more or less just drafted me and, you know, threw me in single A ball and let me pitch. And the crazy thing is, I didn't get a lot of tutoring. I just went out there and did it the way I thought it should be done, and it worked. So, you know, the rest is history.
It did work, and I can vouch for that. And it's interesting you say that, because I always talk about you as a guy that could do anything with a ball that you wanted to. You had such a knack, and I love the phrase, dead fish. I mean, you could throw a 2-0 fastball at 82 miles an hour better than anybody I've ever seen, but that was all touch and feel.
Yeah, you know, and I don't know why I did it. I just decided to do it because they're all laying on a nice hard fastball, so you know, you got to change it up on them, and it was an effective pitch.
It was a very effective pitch. We never had a sign for it either. He just threw whatever he felt like, and it was pretty good.
Yeah. Well, after a while, you knew it was coming.
Where did the slider come from? I mean, that's what you're known for.
One of the minor league roving pitching coaches showed it to me when I was in single A ball. And I picked up on it right away, and man, that pitch was just devastating for me because I was just throwing fastballs. And as a result, I just threw fastball slider. It was no big guessing game when you were facing me what I was going to throw. And, you know, it kept it pretty simple for me. And it worked, as long as I located.
In your mind, why can't other pitchers throw it like that? I mean, it was devastating. I was a right-handed hitter. You throw it to me, and it would freeze up and everything. Why couldn't other writers throw it?
You know, that's a good question. You know, all you have to do is keep your fingers behind it and stay behind the pitch and throw it like a fastball. So it's not any big secret on how to do it. I guess it's just a matter of being consistent and getting the feel of it when you finally do it right. And maybe some guys just can't get that feel. I threw many bad ones myself too, but you know, you could feel it, and
we watched the film of that no-hitter.
Yeah, that was a bad one, the final out.
But I can go back, and I'm thinking of so many things now because we shared so many great times together. And think about the guys that helped you. But you had such an awareness on the mound. I mean, you went out there and you knew if your stuff was good or bad, and you had a knack for getting through it. How did that develop over the course of your career?
I think just my dedication, my perseverance to not give in and not you know, let it get the best of me, and that, you know, I realized my 3 hours out there, or however long the game was going to be, was my time to do my job, and I gave everything I had to do that, and I had to make it good even when things were bad, and you know, just try to make it as best I can. Now, you know, I got my butt kicked many times. I had some bad games too. You just can't avoid that, but it was just my attitude and my perseverance that I've got to win today. I've got to come out on top, and that's what I tried to do each and every time I took that mound.
Did your background as a hitter help you as a pitcher? Setting up hitters?
No. You know, there was no mental game for me as far as a pitcher went. I just went out there and tried to throw hard every pitch, and finally realized, you know, you got to use some finesse here. You got to not give it 100%. And it was hard to not do that. But it was just a learning process. And fortunately, these guys played good behind me, and we always had a lot of tight games, close games, and that made me even a better pitcher, because I still had to keep that concentration. I couldn't relax out there. And then I learned, even when you have big leads, you can't just sit back and think it's over. You still got to go out there with the same attitude.
2 balls and 2 strikes to Will Rhymes, 1 out. Breaking ball to first. Lynn to second base. There's one. Back to first. Off the glove of Adam Lynn. They had a chance right there. Dave Steve would have pushed that guy out of the way and said, I got this one. You could feel, didn't you do it?
Oh, yeah. Got no gold glove to show for it, but thank you, Buck.
One of the hardest plays for a first baseman is the 3-6-3. You've got to catch the ball, make a throw, and then find the bag. That's your number one thing. As soon as you let go of that ball, go back and find the bag. Lynn did, but it looked like he took his eye off the ball a little bit as McDonald is disrupted around second base by Avila.
One question I want to ask you, if you could talk to these young starters, I know you get a chance to visit with them in the spring, but what would the one piece of advice you would give a young starter today?
I think to have that attitude that this is your day to perform, and you have to go out there and get in that zone and don't let anything else disturb you or bother you. Now we all know I was an emotional player.
No, come on.
Well, a little
Why do you
bit,
say that?
So the one thing I would say is to don't do what I did in that respect. Don't let the umpire bother you. Don't let bad plays bother you. And for me, that was easier said than done. But just to go out there and don't let anything distract your task at hand.
And that's great advice. And so often, and I think Cedar's done a great job this year of pushing his starters to stay out there. This is your game. And that's the way you felt. When you went out there, you didn't want anybody else pitching.
I wanted to go 9.
1-1. Pulled foul by Rayburn.
I got a question for you, Dave. I've always wanted to ask this. From where I was sitting, you were the first star of this franchise. I mean, the first bona fide all-star of the new franchise. Did that put any extra pressure on you as a young player?
I never really looked at it like that, and I kind of shied away from that limelight. I didn't like it. It made me feel uncomfortable. So I didn't give it a whole lot of thought. Like I said, I just tried to go out there when it was my day and do the best I could. Because at that time, there was no guarantee I was going to stay on this team, and I knew the only way I was going to stay was to perform and have success. And luckily I had success right away, but that was my objective, and that was where all my concentration was. I didn't think of myself as a star.
And I'll vouch for that. He was a star, but he didn't want all of the attention that goes along with it. He just wanted to play.
Exactly.
But this has been a great day for everybody to come back and do you like the way the Dave Steve bobblehead turned out?
Oh, how can I say no?
I always had a way of putting you on the spot.
The bobblehead looks like I enjoyed the stardom. What a big head I got.
Rayburn strikes out to end the inning. Dave Steve, congratulations. A terrific honor and well-deserved. And thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Great to see you.
Thank you.
Thanks for a great day, buddy.
All right, thank you.
Starts September 3rd against the Yankees, and then he'll be shut down. If you look at his innings here, those are the big league innings he's had over the last 3 seasons, including this year. You can add some innings in the minor leagues in each of those last 2 years. The Blue Jays feel like a 20% bump in innings should be his max. So Brandon Morrow makes his last start of the season September 3rd against the Yankees. A little more news to follow on that same story, guys.
Well, there have been contemplating that possibility, and certainly you want to protect the pitchers for the long term. And in talking with Bruce Walton over the last couple of weeks, basically, you know, Morrow is a concern, and Walton's not a big numbers guy. He kind of reacts to what he sees, but an organizational decision for sure. Aaron Hill pulls it foul. But in light of the most recent news with Steven Strasburg and the concern about young pitchers and the wear and tear, probably a good move for the long haul. But what a great first season Morrow has put under his belt.
Better and better every time he went out there. And so what does he do the rest of the season? You work out, you lift weights.
Yeah, I'm sure, you know, I don't think he wants to go home. He got to be part of this. This has been a pretty special year for these guys. Hill to the gap in right field, but Casper Wells is there battling the sun, makes the catch. Let's check in with Sam for a little bit more.
Yeah, Buck, there are a couple of spot starts available, either the 8th of 9th of September and then again on the 26th of September. And at that time, no candidate was announced. But what's very interesting to know is that Kyle Drabek's innings last night were limited to 5, so surely he'll be in consideration, especially if it's a one-time deal. Scott Richmond also pitching in AA, Brad Mills, Brian Tallett. The list is long, but I think Drabek would be the top guy to make at least one of those 2 spot starts coming up in September.
Well, Alex Anthopoulos, the GM, certainly has a lot of options, and you know that's another organizational decision. What is the value of Drabek making one start in the big leagues? He's been around it his whole life. He knows what it is. It's not like it's a kid coming from the Dominican. You're going to break him into this atmosphere. His dad pitched in the big leagues for Jim Leland, the Tiger manager, and Leland was talking about Kyle Drabek, and he asked me the other day about Drabek. I said, well, a little different than his dad in that he doesn't have that slender body. But he said his daddy could pitch.
Anchored those great Pittsburgh Pirates staffs for Jim Leland when he was the manager over there. You're right. Bringing him up in September, you know, to get him acclimated to the big leagues. I mean, what more does he need to do?
Yeah, I mean, you know, he thinks he belongs here now. I'm sure he does. He's not a cocky guy, but he's certainly a confident guy. That we saw him pitch in spring training against the Phillies. Pitched 2 innings, retired all 6 batters he faced, walked off the mound, ho hum. Travis Snyder has had a nice run here. Kyle Drabek has been named the Eastern League Pitcher of the Year. Big numbers, 14 wins. I love that number. ERA under 3, 25 starts, opponents hitting just .216. Everything about this season is a plus.
You love the wins, but really, when you're developing players, those aren't something that you look at. You look at, I think, earned run average. I think you look at base runners per inning. But I think as you get into AA and as you get into AAA, winning games become very important.
Oh, I think wins are important. If he's going to be an impact starter, I want him to learn how to win. So he walks off the field with his team at the end of the day saying, I won that game. You heard what Dave Steve said. I wanted to win the game, and I wanted to pitch 9 innings. And that's something you have to develop in a young pitcher. And that's why I think the wins are so important, and why I praise the organization for leaving Kyle Drabek at AA. Let him have a big year. Pitcher of the year, 14 wins, ERA under 3, opponents hitting .216. He dominated the league.
Young players can't understand that when it happens to them.
Yeah, they want to go to the next level.
Yes. Hey, I was great the first half. I belong at the next level. Or I see some of my friends go to the next level. Why am I not going? But looking back on it now, when you were left there for a full season and you dominated, you knew you were never going to go back there.
Yeah. And Drabek can certainly make the jump from AA to the big leagues. He wouldn't be the first that's done that. Now, you know, and obviously you and I don't have anything to do with the decision, but bringing Kyle Drabek here, yeah, you might want to recognize his great season, give him an opportunity. I don't think it's going to have any value in a baseball context.
The only thing that I can think of is maybe Bruce Walton and Rick Langford get a chance to work with him on the side. he makes a spot start here, he makes a spot start there, but they could talk to him. He can learn the league a little bit better, learn the hitters. That's one advantage I could see from that.
I agree with that. And and we have talked about it often, about how much regard we have for Walton and Langford and what they have done with this pitching staff. And that would be a good opportunity to see Drabek in this atmosphere. I'll grant you that. 1-2 to Molina. Cut on and missed. Porcello has gone through the lineup one time through. Blue Jays looking for their first base runner. 3 strikeouts through 3. Tigers up 1-0.
The Jays on Rogers Sportsnet. Brought to you by your local independently owned home hardware or home hardware building center. Homeowners helping homeowners.
Back here at Rogers Center. We got a good ball game going. Rick Porcello has retired the first 9 batters he's faced here this afternoon. Miguel Cabrera has driven in the only run of the ball game. An opposite field RBI double in the first.
And with that double, that'll give him 300 total bases, becoming just the 4th Tiger player in their history to have 3 consecutive seasons of at least 300 total bases.
There's a drive to right field, but not that deep, and Snyder will make the catch. Cabrera's retired.
Hank Greenberg was the other one, Charlie Gehringer, Harry Heilman, and now add Miguel Cabrera's name to that 300 total bases. What does that mean?
Well, just think about this. How about the great Al Kaline, not on the list? How about the great Willie Horton, not on the list? So many great players over the years that couldn't even come in this same category. And you can see he doesn't give away at bats very easily.
No.
He was upset by that. Johnny Peralta was called out on strikes his first time up. Two balls and a strike. 1-0 ball game here in the 4th. Mark Zepchinski has given up just 2 hits. He's racked up 4 strikeouts already.
I hope he continues to throw shutout after shutout inning here this afternoon. But what were we saying about games being won in the first inning? Miguel Cabrera's at bat in the first inning with first base open. I hope it doesn't come back to bite him, but a chance to possibly pitch around him and face Peralta.
Yeah, and I'm sure that was something to do with the conversation that Cito Gaston had with Jose Molina after the top of the first. And Molina certainly has the experience to understand you got a base open. Cabrera's the one guy in the ball game you don't want to beat you. Full count to Johnny Peralta. Breaking ball just down. Brian O'Nora didn't like it.
Looked like he was going to come out of his stance and ring him up, but he got down there and took a good look at it. Zebchinski's got 5 strikeouts already this afternoon. And it looked like it might have been number 6. See Brian O'Nora right down there looking at that one.
Peralta at first. Inge pops up the first pitch. Hill over near the foul line, battling the sun off his glove. Peralta going around second. He'll stop there. That ball got up in the sun. Hill knew he was in trouble once he threw that glove up. Couldn't find the baseball. It went off the webbing of his glove.
As soon as the ball went in the air, indecision all the way around for that side of the infield. Travis Snyder was not going to get to that ball. Adam Lind had no chance at getting, and the only guy who did was Aaron Hill, but you can see him shading and shading and shading and just misses it. So Peralta walks on a 3-2 pitch, and then a pop-up is dropped by Hill.
Brennan Bosch looks at a first pitch breaking ball for a strike. First and second, 1 out here. Bosch flied to right his first time up. Here's where Zebchinski has to pick up his teammates. Another good breaking ball. Boy, he's got on top of that breaking ball and had a lot of depth to it.
That's the difference in his breaking ball in this outing than the last time we saw him against the Yankees. Everything was flat and out over the plate, and Mark was saying after that game, hey, it was just one of those days. I just didn't control anything.
0-2. Got him. Came right back with the same pitch. Bosch strikes out. Number 6 for Zebchinski.
Bosch has the 3rd best average in the American League against left-handed pitchers, but no chance here. 3 breaking balls, and Bosch goes down. Another slider off the plate, and Bosch giving up that front side a little bit too quickly there, strikes out.
Casper Wells lined one to Bautista to end the second inning. Wells, a very aggressive first pitch hitter. And on his fists. You make a great point about Zebchinski talking about his start, how he just didn't have it. It was just one of those off days. Well, when you haven't had as many starts as the others, those stand out. But when you're making 28, 29, 30 starts, one bad start doesn't get magnified like it might for Zebchinski.
And he's had some injuries this year, so that's why his starts have been down. And they said there'd be days like that, and he did. To his credit, he went out, worked hard, had some good side sessions in between this start, and he's a different pitcher today than the one we saw against the Yankees on Tuesday.
Now, this is a great atmosphere for starting pitching because of the 2 pitching coaches, but also because of the other 4 starters in the rotation. A terrific camaraderie between the starting pitchers. Jose Molina going out to talk things over now as Zebchinski falls behind Wells. Brandon Morrow, we have just been told in the news that he will make one more start and then they will shut him down for the season. Concerned about the number of innings increase from last year to this.
This is something that the Blue Jays did last year. They shut down Zebchinski. They shut down Cecil in the month of September. The young pitchers, they don't want to go over a certain amount of innings. They have a formula, the Blue Jays do, from one year to the next. So many percentages higher the next year. Once you hit that threshold, that's it.
Base hit to right field. Snyder gets it. Here comes the throw to the plate. Peralta slides in. The throw gets away from Molina. Zebchinski is there to back up the play, and the base runners will hold their ground. Wells delivers the RBI base hit to right.
He was swinging a hot bat right before they called him back up from the minor leagues, Casper Wells. He's got some power, 21 home runs in the minor leagues, but it also looks like he has an idea with 2 strikes. Shorten the swing a little bit, use the whole field, and he sends a rocket into right field. Snyder charges, stops, and then comes up with the throw. It gets away from Lynn, and it gets away from Molina. Really no chance to get the runner.
Throw was offline, and Peralta was going to score, even if Molina comes up with it. Sepchinski right back with the strike. Alex Avila had an opposite field base hit his first time up. 2-0 Tigers. Avila trying to go opposite field again. Stayed back on that breaking ball. 0-2.
We talked about it the last couple of nights about his inability to hit left-handed pitching at this point in his career. First 2 times up here this afternoon, it looks like he's made a conscious effort of staying back against Sepchinski and shooting the ball the other way.
Oh, 2, 2 outs, 2 on. Breaking ball, strike 3. Sepchinski again strands a couple of Tigers. The air by Hill leads to the unearned run. Tigers have taken a 2-0 lead. Sepchinski with his 7th strikeout.
And it's 4 colors, not 3. To enter, visit hitahomerunwithsharp.ca. That's www.hitahomerunwithsharp.ca.
Now the Tigers have taken a 2-0 lead here as the Blue Jays are set to bat in the 4th inning. A walk to Johnny Peralta. The air by Hill contributes to the unearned run. Casper Wells, pretty good looking young hitter, drives in the 2nd run of the game. Rick Porcello starts things off, gets Fred Lewis to chase.
Tigers have some young outfielders that they can build that offense around.
And in this trend in baseball, athleticism. Casper Wells is an athlete. You see it on the field. He runs for center fielder. Austin Jackson has 8 outfield assists. They move around. They're athletic. They run the bases well.
I think you need good outfielders, right? Rayburn has got some outfield assists also. He can run a little bit. You need a good athletic outfield, I think, to play in Comerica Park because it's so big.
1-2 to Lewis. Big 2 hopper for Rhymes at second. Lewis has retired.
You could win an all-new Honda CRZ and other great prizes when you vote for the Honda Play of the Month. Vote today at BlueJays.com.
When you think back to the great Tiger teams of the middle 80s, Gibson, Lemon, and Larry Herndon in the outfield, you had impact athletes. Defensively, they could run the bases. They had good arms. And that's where baseball's trending back to. Athletes.
You couldn't get the ball down in the outfield with Chet Lemon in center field. He was the perfect complement when they got him from the White Sox to play on that team.
And Herndon, who was a good outfielder in left, and then you had Gibson, who was a maniac in right. He could do anything and would make up his mind to do anything.
How strong were those teams up the middle? Ooh. Lance Parrish behind the plate.
And Porcello changeup misses down and away to John McDonald. McDonald struck out on a slider his first time up. Two balls, two strikes, one out here in the fourth inning. Another slider hit on the ground. He ends at third in time to get McDonald. There's your athleticism you're talking about.
It's not just in the outfield for the Detroit Tigers. They've got some infielders with some good athleticism. Brandon Inge showing off why he is such a good fielder. Watch the transfer. Glove hand on the throw, on the run, strike over to Cabrera. He is playing back with two strikes. Notices it immediately and throws a play over there, a ball over to Cabrera, how he can handle it. A lot of times you'll see third basemen come in like that and banana curl that ball over to the first baseman, get him into trouble. That time it was perfect.
Jose Bautista takes a good look at a slider down and away. It's a ball and a strike. Bautista popped up to Inge in his first at bat. Just off the plate.
I asked him how important it was to him to drive in 100 runs. He says, you know, it's a goal of his to be able to do that. Every player, when they play the game and they hit 3 or 4, they should have a goal of trying to drive in 100 runs. But it shows that, you know, he's an elite player.
There's the first base hit of the game for the Blue Jays. Comes with 2 outs here in the third inning. First base runner.
He also said that he's always wanted to do it. Drive in 100 runs. That is such an accomplishment. He's not going to drive in a run here, but he'll pick up the game's first hit by driving that fastball into left field.
Getting better and better as a hitter as the season progresses as well. Vernon Wells with 2 outs and a man at first. Swings at the first pitch and drives it to the gap in right center. Battling the sun in the outfield is Casper Wells. He hangs in there and makes the catch. Vernon Wells making a bid for extra bases. The ball died in right. Tigers up 2-0 after 4.
Top home run hitter. Well, you have the chance to do that, but you have to act quickly. A home jersey worn by Jose Bautista on April 15th, in which he went 1 for 2 with 3 walks. Visit jshop.ca to bid for your chance to win a Jose Bautista jersey. Bidding ends today, so act fast.
Austin Jackson shows bunt and pulls the bat back. Sliced into the seats down the right side. 2-0 Tigers lead it here in the 5th.
What a season Austin Jackson has put together. His first in the big leagues. And if you take a look at some of his numbers and where he ranks, it's first in everywhere. Average 306 hits, 151. That's the most hits by a Tiger rookie since 1961. How about his runs scored? He scored 81 runs this year, which again the most for a Tiger rookie since 1961.
Cut on and missed. Jackson goes down. Strikeout number 8 for Mark Zepchinski.
Having trouble picking up the breaking ball off of Zepchinski, and he's got it at a good spot. It's down. With 2 strikes, you can go outside the strike zone and see if he'll fish. That's another problem that he has had, another category that he leads, Austin Jackson. He leads the American League in strikeouts.
Will Rhymes, the second baseman, pulls it on the ground. Zepchinski flips to Lynn in time. Oh, what a play by Zepchinski. Sensing that he was the only guy that had a chance to make a play, stayed with it, barehanded it, and flipped it to Lynn.
No way that the first baseman, Lynn, was going to get it to get back. No chance for Aaron Hill to get it and flip it. The only guy who had a shot was Mark Zepchinski. He falls off to the third base side. That's what made it so impressive. He's got to like regenerate, get that ball, and then slip it over to Lynn for a nice play. Wow, from his knees.
Great play, and this is a good move by Molina to help Zepchinski catch his breath. Not only the burst of speed to get to first, but the excitement of making that play. Calls timeout, goes to the mound, and gives his pitcher a little break. Remember how you make a good play in the field and your heart really starts to pump?
You're all excited. Yeah. And then a pitcher having to run sprints like that. Catch your breath. Try and make the next pitch.
So much more to catching than just flashing signs.
You love those catchers, don't you?
I don't think they're paid enough. Fly ball to right field. A good inning for Zepchinski. Just 7 pitches in the 5th. But he and the Blue Jays trail the Tigers by 2.
Sportsnet West and Pacific. It's Minnesota versus Seattle. Both games get underway at 4:30 Eastern, 1:30 Pacific.
Well, slate of baseball today on Rogers Sportsnet. When you look at the pennant races, they're starting to heat up a little bit. Minnesota just won't allow anybody back in the race. Twins have won 3 straight. Chicago White Sox, boy, more bad news for the White Sox. Eric Threets, their young left-handed relief pitcher, will undergo Tommy John surgery. He's the 3rd relief pitcher they have lost.
Hard throwing bullpen for the Chicago White Sox, and they lose 3 big arms out of there. Minnesota goes and fortifies their bullpen yesterday.
How about that? Brian Fuentes coming over, picks up a save in a 1-0 game. Gets the final out of that ball game. Twins are doing a lot of right things right now. Adam Lynn pops it into the outfield. Long run for Jackson, but Rayburn is there to make the catch. Commentator clothing provided in part by Z Zenya. Statistical information provided by Stats Inc. Music provided by Universal Canada.
Speaking of Minnesota, the way we were just talking about them, they got, I don't know if I want to call it good news, but they got decent news on Justin Morneau. Starting with some baseball activities this week. Hitting a little bit, running a little bit, but still not able to play.
Yeah, and you know what? They will take Morneau back 2 weeks in September if they can get him back. They just want to get him back. And it's remarkable what they've done without him. He's been out since the 7th of July. He got hurt right here at Rogers Center when he banged into the knee of John McDonald on a slide at second base.
It looks so harmless, too, when it happens. Slid right into that knee. Went down. We haven't seen him since.
Yep. Sorely missed, and he was hurt last year when the Twins were eliminated. 0-2. John Buck cuts on it and fouls it back out of play. We mentioned Nick Blackburn. He came back and shut out the Mariners for 8 2/3 on just 2 hits. He had been down in the minor leagues, and boy, what a job. And they have guys stepping up all over the place.
They've had their share of injuries, the Minnesota Twins, in their bullpen. But this year, a little bit different than some of the other years that the Twins have. They have the resources to go out and make some trades and maybe sign some other players. I think that new ballpark is really helping them with the revenue.
John Buck goes after a slider. He strikes out. 4th strikeout of the afternoon for Rick Porcello.
This homestand, first the Yankees, and now the Tigers are pitching John Buck very tough. They're throwing him breaking balls early in the count because they know he's a notorious fastball swinger. And then when they get the 2 strikes, they are bending those sliders away from him.
Aaron Hill, second at bat today, looks at the breaking ball. Two balls and no strikes. 2 outs here in the 5th inning. Rick Porcello holding the Blue Jays to no runs and just 1 hit. Three and 0.
You know, you mentioned Nick Blackburn going back down to the minor leagues and redoing his game and coming back and having success. The same thing happened to Rick Porcello this season. Porcello had to go back down. He made 4 starts with Toledo just to clear his mind and work on his mechanics and work on using his other pitches that he has. And he's come back and he's been a different pitcher.
3-1, tapped foul. It's important for players to clear their mind, and you obviously don't have that luxury if you're struggling in the major leagues. Big league hitters don't give you a chance.
No. You have no chance. And that's something that organizations have been doing a lot more with young players. If they don't have success here, instead of leaving them here and getting their brains beat out, they go down to the minor leagues, clear their head, get their stuff together, and getting better when they come back up.
Well, it's a case-by-case situation, obviously, but in one case comes to mind, and I think it really spells it out dramatically how you have to handle everybody differently, is Dustin Pedroia. His first year with the Red Sox, 6 weeks of hitting 180. But they felt that he would bounce back and benefit from staying in the big leagues. Off the glove of Inge at third base. Aaron Hill around first. He makes a big wide turn, but Inge gets on it to keep Hill at first. That handcuffed him.
Yeah, that ball was smoked by Aaron Hill. I don't know if it hit a seam and came up on Inge. He's right in front of it. Gets down, but then comes up on it. Third base is such a reactionary position. You got to knock that ball down somehow. But Inge comes up on it. Hill will be at first base after the error by Brandon Inge.
Opportunity here. 2 outs. Travis Snyder. Pulled foul. Snyder had a good day at the plate yesterday. Had a pair of doubles, an RBI double in the 6th. Proved to be the difference in the ball game. That was the 5th Blue Jay run. And that held up in a 5-4 win. But he hit the ball all over the yard yesterday. Lays off that sinking fastball.
He was robbed of a hit when he sent a screamer towards the third base line. And Inge robbed him of a hit by making the grab. Hit a ball in the right center. Hit the ball all over the field yesterday.
Out in front of that off-speed pitch. Snyder was 3 for 4 yesterday with that line drive to third. Snyder's got some pop. 8 home runs for the season. Ball and 2 strikes, 2 down. There goes Hill. Ball is popped up to left field. Rayburn's over and will make the catch, and the Blue Jays will strand 1. Rick Porcello shutting down the Blue Jays on just 1 hit after 5. 2-0 Tigers. One hit through 5. Mark Zepchinski nearly as good. 3 hits, but 2 runs, 1 unearned run.
Yeah, Porcello has found his mojo with that base hit by Bautista. Zepchinski's already racked up 8 strikeouts. His career high is 9 set back in last September against Texas. He's got a good breaking ball working today, and the Tigers are swinging and missing at it a lot.
Miguel Cabrera leading off the 6th inning. Down and away with a changeup he lays off. Cabrera had the opposite field double to drive in the first run of this ball game. On the outside corner. Cito Gaston had a talk with Jose Molina after that first half inning. Cabrera goes after it. Looks like a nasty breaking ball. And yeah, obviously we're assuming this, but it certainly looked like he was talking to Molina about the Cabrera at bat. Some of the options that he might have had, and it looks like they're trying to stay off speed and stay down and away from Cabrera.
Kept talking and showing it with arm gestures about sink that fastball, keep it away from him. Make him try and reach for the ball.
Cedar Gaston can break down some hitters for you. Tried to get that breaking ball on the outside corner. Three-2 pitch to Cabrera. Breaking ball around the outside corner. He'll take the walk.
You know, we have been talking about Cabrera all series long, 4 games worth of. And we've talked about what a great average he has and a chance for the Triple Crown and the home runs and the RBIs. With that walk, think about this. He has more walks than strikeouts this year. That is impressive from a very big run producer. Sometimes you have to trade off those home runs for strikeouts.
The broken bat looper into center field. That'd get down for a hit in front of Vernon Wells. Johnny Peralta's aboard. First 2 guys reach here in the 6th.
Peralta means so much in Jim Leyland's word to this team. He said he really liked him when he was a Cleveland Indian, when he managed against him, and now that he is on his team, he says he really likes him. He has the versatility to play shortstop and to play some third base, and an added bat to this offense. Looked like that was not a broken bat.
Yeah, I think he just lost the bat. It stayed intact, and that's why he and Tom Brookins, the first base coach, were having a little bit of a laugh. When you're hot, you're hot. They fall in there, don't they?
Throw your bat at the ball, hit a line drive to center. It's easy.
First and second, nobody out now. Brandon Inge. First pitch strike. Inge just 1 for 13 in the series. Pops this one up. Lind over near the wall. Got a chance to make the play and does. He and Chris Guccione got tangled up a little bit. We saw this with Guccione when he was at third base. He got tangled up with Brandon Inge, but Lind was able to get over there on the warning track and record the first out of the inning.
Ball looked like it came back on him a little bit also. You can see there's Guccione and the first base coach, Tom Brookins. Get out of the way for the fielder.
It's a big out. And you got a left-hander up there now in Brennan Bosch. Jim Leyland talked about Bosch, his average down to 269. He said young guys have a tendency to go up and down. And right now he's on one of those downward trends. That breaking ball is giving him all sorts of problems.
So he's not going back. He's not loading up on that back leg and seeing it. For me, it looks like his first movement is pushing forward. And that's when you are very susceptible to those breaking balls away from you, especially from a left-hander.
1-1. It's down and away. 2 balls and a strike, 1 out here in the 6th inning. Tigers scored 1 in the 1st, 1 in the 4th. Blue Jays have been held to just 1 hit. Another breaking ball. And you make a great point about Bosch. Everything is gone. Nothing back to attack that breaking ball with. Body's out in front.
You got to stay back on that back leg as long as possible. Keep that front shoulder closed. If you go, your first movement is towards the pitcher out on that front foot, they're going to keep throwing you breaking balls.
2-2, way outside. Full count, 1 out. You wouldn't expect the Tigers to start the runners in this situation. Cabrera and Peralta not the fastest base runners, plus Bosch's ability and tendency to strike out. You got the dangerous Casper Wells on deck, and he's swinging a hot bat.
No need to run into any outs.
3-2, 1 out, not running. Laid off, bases are loaded. A tough spot for Mark Zebczynski here. Casper Wells has hit the ball sharply twice. Line to the third baseman in the second, and single to right drove in the second run of the game. 5 walks now issued by Mark Zebczynski.
Right after that walk, some stirring going down in that bullpen for the Blue Jays.
Casper Wells, young right fielder, bases loaded, 1 out, 2-0. Jose Molina is going to go out and talk to his young pitcher as Jesse Carlson begins to loosen up. Casper Wells, we mentioned how well he's swinging the bat. He has 3 hits in the last 2 games in this series. He is batting in this situation for the first time in his big league career. He's never had an at bat with the bases loaded.
Got off to a very rough start when they sent him out to AAA this season, but he battled his way back, and I think they called him up at a great time. Swinging the bat, a red hot bat, while he was down at Toledo.
3-0.
And he's locked in right now. Not even budging at those pitches.
Eight strikeouts, but 5 walks issued by Zebczynski. There's a strike. Three and 1. Zebczynski just a good sinking fastball away from getting out of this.
Yeah, get that ball on the ground and let your infield help you out.
Comes right back. Runs it to a full count. Cabrera's at third. He walked to start the inning. Johnny Peralta had a little bloop single in the center. And Brennan Bosch with the 1-out walk. He's at first.
I like how Zebczynski's not even paying attention to the runners now that he fell behind. He was just zeroed in on that glove. Last 2 pitches, didn't even glance at him. That's where you're throwing it. Keep your head right there.
3-2. Driven to center field and deep. Wells back. Wells won't get it. Off the wall. Cabrera comes in to score. Peralta's right behind him, and Bosch will be held at third. Casper Wells delivers again. A 2-run double off the wall in center.
Well, Wells got ahead 3-0, and he had the luxury of watching a couple of the pitches from Zebczynski come across the plate and really get his timing down. 3-2, it's the same pitch as the previous 2, and he's got some pop. 15 extra base hits in his last 18 games in AAA, and you can see why. He's got great strength, and he just muscles this ball over the head of Vernon Wells. By the time he runs it down, 2 more runs are going to cross.
Second and third, 1 out. Cedar Gaston on the phone. Alex Avila, left-hander, takes a strike. Casper Wells has driven in 3 of the 4 Tiger runs here. He now has 7 on the season. He's at second. Bosch is at third. Ground ball. Bosch has to hold his ground at third. He'll retire Avila.
You know, if you walk so many players, eventually they're going to come around and hurt you. You mentioned the 5 walks from Mark Zebchinski this afternoon. The big base hit by Wells scores a couple of runs. 3 of those walks have come around to score. And it looks like he's going to have his 6th now.
The intentional walk to the right-handed hitting Austin Jackson will be the 6th walk issued by Zebchinski. But this sets up a lefty-on-lefty opportunity for Zebchinski. Jim Whelan's ball club delivering with runners in scoring position today. They had a terrible first 3 games. 3 for 34 coming into this game. 3 for 9 here this afternoon against the Blue Jays. There's the 4-pitch intentional walk. Cito Gaston's going to replace Zebchinski with Jesse Carlson. Left-hander will come in to face Will Rhymes. Gaston figuring the fresh look from Carlson will be more advantageous. Zebchinski leaves trailing by 4.
As we move into the final month of the season, the next homestand features the Rangers from the 6th to the 9th of September, and then the Rays come in after that from the 10th to the 12th. For tickets, visit BlueJays.com, most Rogers Plus locations, or call 416-341-1234.
Well, you want to see some good baseball. The Rangers are leading the American League West by 8.5 games over Oakland. Tampa Bay and the Yankees locked in a flat-footed tie atop the American League East. Lots of good baseball here coming up in the month of September. Jesse Carlson, the left-hander, comes on out of the bullpen. Got a tough situation. Bases loaded, 2 outs, but he's got a left-handed batter to deal with.
And he's been very successful against left-handers this year. Just 7 at-bats versus Carlson, the lefties. He hasn't given up a hit to him yet. Will Rhymes will be the first batter that he will face.
2 outs. Bases loaded. Hopped in the air, left side of the infield. McDonald, the shortstop, calls for it and can't make the play. Bautista was called off of that. The third baseman looked like he had a pretty good angle. You can see McDonald looking at his wrist as if that ball hit him on the wrist.
Pop-up priority. The middle infielders, as they go towards the foul lines, have priority. But you're right, Bautista looks like he is settling under it and then is called off by McDonald. And he just misses it. Jesse Carlson thought he was 1 pitch, 1 out to get out of the inning. He's got to do it all over again.
Again, Carlson, opportunity to pick up his teammates. No balls and a strike. 2 outs. Good pitch on the outside corner. Carlson in the driver's seat.
Time to get a little slider going here on Will Rhymes. He's had success against lefties, has Rhymes, in his short major league career.
0-2, up and away. Carlson dropped down a little further from the side. Breaking ball, got him. Jesse Carlson comes in with the bases loaded and gets Rhymes to swing at the slider. He strands all three base runners. Big pitch from Carlson. Blue Jays got some work to do.
The Jays versus Rays right here on Rogers Sportsnet tomorrow. Brett Cecil 11-6 against Wade Davis, 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific on all Sportsnet channels.
Big series coming up in St. Petersburg against Tampa Bay. Cecil, Romero, and Sean Markham in the series for the Blue Jays up against Wade Davis, Jeff Neiman, and the big left-hander David Price.
Doesn't get easy.
Not at this time of the year.
No, sir.
Jose Molina will try to get things going for the Jays here in the 6th. Give you a recap of some of the happenings today. Junel Escobar is out of the lineup, a little bit of a sore back. He wasn't able to start this game. Lyle Overbay still battling with the illness. He is away from the ball club, so he was not available to start. That's why the lineup has kind of been mixed and matched. Bautista's playing third base. Molina's catching for a second day in a row, and John Buck's the DH.
This time of the year, right before you get to September, when you can expand rosters and you have a few healthy bodies, sometimes this happens, especially when you're caught right in the middle.
Bounced foul. Tigers lead it 4-0. Trying to even the series. Split the 4 games. Right back to Porcello, who scoops on the mound. Got his spikes caught a little bit on the turf, but able to make the play. Check in with Sam Cosentino.
Buck, just a quick update on Lyle Overbay. He was at the ballpark this morning and then left. The Blue Jays have yet to make an official announcement as to his absence. We do know this. He will be with the team in Tampa Bay, so expect to hear more in the coming days on Lyle Overbay.
Overbay left the game 2 nights ago. According to the Blue Jays, at that time he was ill, not feeling well. So he came out of the game in the 6th inning of Friday night's game. Fred Lewis is 0 for 2 this afternoon. Blue Jays need some base runners. They've only had 2. Jose Bautista, the only hit of the afternoon, and Aaron Hill reached on the air by Brandon Inge.
Porcello's been great. We were talking about young pitchers and innings pitched. He threw 170 innings last year for the Detroit Tigers at the age of 20. The difference between Porcello and, let's say, a Brandon Morrow, different styles but same types of pitchers. Morrow is more power. Porcello's more finesse. Morrow's innings with all his strikeouts puts a little bit more stress on his arm.
Right side, Rhymes from the outfield throws Fred Lewis out. 2 quick outs here in the 6th. Mark Zepchinski had a season high 8 strikeouts, but the 5 walks, including 1 intentional, ultimately cost him in this game this afternoon.
3 of them come around to score. 3 of the 4 runs after walks. First inning, 4th inning, and then in the 6th inning. Gets into the 6th. 1 off of his career high in strikeouts.
John McDonald starting at shortstop today in place of Junel Escobar. Lays off the high fastball. Porcello last year was shut down for about 2 weeks, middle of the season, right around the All-Star break. They gave him a good, solid rest middle of the year. Hammered to left field. This ball is gone! John McDonald sneaks one over the left field wall for a home run. His 4th of the season.
Johnny Mack last year had his highest slugging percentage of his career. He says he's going up there and getting 3 good swings at the ball every time up. No flaying balls to right field. He's starting to turn on balls. Gets a pitch up from Porcello. Porcello doesn't give up a whole lot of home runs, but this time it's elevated. And it's the 13th home run given up by Rick Porcello this season.
Jose Bautista with 2 outs. Nothing like a home run to get the Blue Jay fans interested a little bit. 4th home run ties his career high, hit 4 last year for the Jays. But if you've got a shutout going and the crowd kind of sitting back on their hands here, just let one of these Blue Jays hit a home run, and you'll get the interest of the crowd.
Just waiting for the Jays to do something offensively.
3-1.
How about back-to-back?
How about another base runner?
Before the other home run?
3-1, 2 down. Good cut, foul back. Check in with Sam Cosentino.
Well, Buxito Gaston was mentioning the other day that a project they've been working on with John McDonald the last 2 years is really getting him to pull the ball. They felt that early in his career he was felt to hit the other way, keep the ball on the ground. They feel he's much better when he pulls the ball. I think the results are clear.
Popped up on the infield. Cabrera Rhymes battling the sun. Cabrera calls for it and makes the catch. But the Blue Jays break through. John McDonald, his 4th home run of the season. A line drive over the wall in left field. Blue Jays trail 4-1 after 6.
25th right here at the Rogers Center. The prize includes airfare, hotel accommodations, and a little spending money, $1,000 worth. To enter, visit BlueJays.com. Enter quickly. The contest closes today.
Great opportunity to see the Blue Jays here at Rogers Center toward the end of the season. And you look at this ball club, they want to finish up on a high note. There's no question about that. People were discounting the impact of this ball club, what they might be able to do. They are 7 games over 500 at this point of the season. It was thought to be much more of a rebuilding year than it's actually turned out to be.
The rebuilding year was last year when they had all the injuries to their pitchers. And they got some experience, and every one of them have taken it to the next level. No question that this team can improve and do some things in the offseason to help them in the win column. But I think they're on the right track.
Well, we have highlighted their pitching, and certainly last night, yesterday afternoon, Kevin Gregg picked up his 30th save of the season. Long drive to left field. Fred Lewis is back at the wall. This ball is off the foul pole home run. Ryan Rayburn, a high fly ball, hits the foul pole down the left field line. His 9th home run of the season. The Tigers have regained the 4-run lead.
41st RBI for Rayburn. Any ballpark would have not been able to hold this one. Fastball from Jesse Carlson. It's down the line. The only question was, is it going to stay fair? And you can see from that replay right off the middle of the foul pole.
Miguel Cabrera chases a first pitch, off-speed pitch. Rayburn, one of the 3 young outfitters we've been talking about, Rayburn, Jackson, and Casper Wells. Also, you talk about Brennan Bosch, who is a candidate for Rookie of the Year for most of the season. He, along with his teammate, center fielder Austin Jackson.
I remember talking to some of the Tiger minor league coaches and managers in spring training when we were in Lakeland. And one of the things that they were saying was, hey, Tigers have some legitimate home run hitting minor leaguers that are going to spend their season in AAA this year. Larry Parrish, who was their manager, and Leon Durham, who was their hitting coach, were talking about them. And they gave me some of the names, Bosch being one of them, Casper Wells, who you've been mentioning, and said they are legitimate 25 home run a year hitters in the big leagues.
Tom Brookins, the first base coach, had most of these players last year in AA. Right back up the middle. Cabrera has his 2nd hit of the afternoon.
You can win an all-new Honda CRZ and other great prizes when you vote for the Honda Play of the Month. Vote today at BlueJays.com.
Cabrera's aboard. He has been on base 3 times here this afternoon. Johnny Peralta, 1 for 2 and a strikeout, takes a first pitch strike. Fly ball right field. Travis Snyder giving ground, backing up on the warning track, makes the catch. Peralta gave it a ride, but Snyder was able to go back and haul it in. 1 out here in the 7th. Brandon Inge really had a little bit of a struggle here during this series. He's now 1 for 14. There goes Cabrera, swing and a miss. The throw from Molina, not in time. A little bit more from the big guy than just a bat. He picks up his 3rd steal of the season.
Either somebody missed a side or somebody missed a hit and run. Cabrera shug it into second base. 3 stolen bases for Cabrera. Just ahead of the tag.
Gets himself into scoring position for Brandon Inge. Drive to left field. Fred Lewis back. This ball is gone. Inge with a 2-run home run. Second of the inning. Just his second hit in the series. Tigers lead 7-1. For Inge, his 9th home run of the season.
He'll play great defense for you, and he'll come up with a home run now and then. That's a hanger from Jesse Carlson. Brandon Inge hit 27 home runs for the Tigers in 2006, 27 more of them last year. Not a high average guy, but he'll hit you the home run when you need it.
Well, that's what you want at third base, and at the corners, the Tigers certainly have that potential with Cabrera at first and Inge at third. Almost misses the bag at first.
Well, you're not real sure of that line drive like that. If it's going to go out, you're watching it, you're hoping. You're trying to push that ball over the wall. Sometimes you forget where you are.
3 runs in for the Tigers here in the 7th. They've broken the game wide open. They lead 7-1. That was the score of game 1 of this series on Thursday night. The final was 7-1. Base hit into center field for Brennan Bosch. Fourth hit of the inning allowed by Jesse Carlson.
Bosch has had a great average against the left-hander. If you don't get the ball down, they're going to hurt you. Home run by Rayburn, a single, another home run by Inge, and now another single from Bosch. And just like that, as soon as that ball, well, even before it hit the outfield for a base hit, Cito Gaston was on the phone to his bullpen.
One out now for Casper Wells. Wells has had a big day at the plate. 2 for 3 with 3 RBI. He was robbed of a base hit his first time up.
Might have been the hardest ball he's hit this afternoon. Hit a screamer right at Jose Bautista. Gloved it right before it hit the turf.
Fastball just inside. Brian Talent starting to loosen up. Another drive to left field, but this ball is going to hook back into the seats. Disappointing day for Cito Gaston's ball club. Trying to win back-to-back series. They took 2 of 3 from the Yankees and had a chance to win this series. Mind you, it's not over, but Rick Porcello has been tough. Little looper behind second base. This is going to be caught by Vernon Wells.
Well, they still have 3 shots at the Tigers here, but you're right. Porcello has been awfully tough. So let's look ahead. This is the sked ahead, the next 5 series.
Well, you see, go back-to-back with the front runners in the American League East, Tampa Bay and the Yankees, then Texas. Tampa Bay again and Baltimore. And Baltimore's been playing much better. But that'll take the Blue Jays through the middle of September before they make one more trip to Boston.
You know what you have to think about when you're facing Tampa and the Yankees in Texas. They are right up there in earned run average in the American League. Oakland leads, and then it's Tampa, Texas, Minnesota, and New York.
And the other thing they all have in common, they are playoff bound. They have their focus on the playoffs, and the final series of the season for the Blue Jays will be a 4-game series in Minneapolis against the Twins. Alex Avila pops it out of play. When you really look at the rest of the schedule, the Orioles are only the only team that really you would think, okay, well, that's going to be easy. You got Seattle as well, and Seattle's in for a 3-game series.
still have a trip to Boston. You know, Boston is going to be geared up as they make a run for it. I think that series that you just talked about, Minnesota, 4 big games to end the season, that is going to mean something, I think, for the Twins. Maybe the Blue Jays can play spoiler against Minnesota last weekend of the season.
A ball and 2 strikes. Avila hits a line drive to left field. Fred Lewis over and makes the running catch. Big inning for the Tigers. They connect for 3 runs on 4 hits and 2 home runs. Tigers lead it 7-1.
Highlights available. Visit BlueJays.com for more details on At Bat 2010.
Tigers have added to their early lead. They put up a 3-spot top half of the 7th inning. Now the Blue Jays trail by 6. Middle of the order here against Rick Porcello, who is dealing. Porcello last time out held the Royals to 2 hits over 7 innings.
Says he used all of his pitches in that start. And he's using all his pitches. This is a different pitcher than the one we saw last year.
I think he's going to find a happy medium between what we saw last year and the way he's pitching now. And he's one of those guys that can do just about anything you ask. You say, hey, Rick, you ever throw a 4-seam fastball? He goes, oh, yeah, I can throw that once in a while. 96, 97. He's just that talented. He has the ability to do those things.
Still young and still growing.
In that regard, he reminds me a little bit of Steve. He's so athletic, he can do a lot of things. He's got great delivery on the mound. He's got great mound presence. High breaking ball lifted into center field. Jackson took a step back, but recovers and makes the catch.
You can win an all-new Honda CRZ and other great prizes when you vote for the Honda Play of the Month. Vote today at BlueJays.com.
One out here in the 7th.
So as a young starter, do you don't give Rick Porcello too much information or just enough to let him master some of those? Sometimes with those good athletes, those good pitchers, you give them too much information, too many pitches, and it works against them.
Yeah, and I always felt like you just keep things simple for younger pitchers and just try to get them to have a general picture of what they want to do. I don't want to go to them and say, listen, Adam Lind likes the ball inner half, 2-1 count, he's looking for breaking ball. I don't want him thinking about that many things. Keep it simple. Ball on the strike, 1 out to Lind. Steve was like that too. Steve had such a great feel. He could really tell what a hitter was trying to do. And he wasn't scientific and he wasn't into scouting reports, but he just had a knack and a feel for pitching. And he was so good at it, was able to neutralize even the best of hitters. Up the end of the bat to Johnny Peralta. 2 outs here for Porcello in the 7th.
See, I never got that from Steve when I faced him. I always thought that his stuff was so good that all he had to do was just go out there and burn that fastball in on you and finish you off with the slider.
Yeah, he really knew what he was doing. And that dead fish, he loved the dead fish. He called it his bread and butter, but he would take a fastball and just throw it with 70% effort. And he had great arm action on it. Wasn't a changeup, just a BP fastball. Boy, it's going to be a quick inning for Porcello. Ground ball off the bat of John Buck. 3 up, 3 down in the 7th. Just 9 pitches for Rick Porcello. He's in the driver's seat this afternoon. Welcome back to Rogers Center. Buck Martinez along with Pat Tabler as the Tigers have a 7-1 lead over the Blue Jays in the 4th and final game of this series. Mike McCoy just called back up from AAA Las Vegas, takes over defensively in center field for Vernon Wells. Brian Talent, the left-hander, comes on. Jesse Carlson pitched an inning in the 3rd and had a rough 7th inning, so Talent will come on to work the 8th, top of the order.
20 games as a reliever this year for the Blue Jays. He has been basically the long man out of the bullpen, although he did pitch in a big inning just yesterday against Detroit. Pitched the 8th inning, gave up a hit, had a couple of strikeouts.
Just off the end of the bat. Austin Jackson, 0 for 3, did not play in yesterday's game, with Brandon Morrow starting that game for the Blue Jays. Popped down the right side and out of play. We mentioned the bright future for the Tigers when you look at the centerpiece to their outfield. Austin Jackson, guys that can play on the corners, and 4 of them overall, the young outfielders. There's a base hit to left field.
And some good young pitching coming up. Obviously he can play in the big leagues. His stuff is so good. Kid Austin Jackson, could he have played for the Yankees?
Oh yeah.
I mean, he obviously can play. How do you give up on a guy like this?
Yeah, and they thought they were going to go with more experience, and they got enamored with the numbers Curtis Granderson put up in Comerica, thinking you put him in the short porch in Yankee Stadium, he had 35 home runs. That hasn't worked out at all.
It's scary to think about the Yankees with Jackson in center field.
And if there was ever a team that needed an infusion of athleticism and youth, it's the Yankees.
The Yankees.
So they got older and less athletic when they traded Austin Jackson.
Think about that. What if he's hitting 8th or 9th all season long for the Yankees?
What if he's hitting 260 for the Yankees?
As
opposed to 300.
The way he plays center field, too, in that ballpark.
How about Brett Gardner and Austin Jackson? I mean,
it's like having 2 outfielders.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. But you know what? Tigers end up with pretty good offseason last year. Ball on a strike. 8th inning. Rhymes, base hit. Fred Lewis will try to cut it off, and Jackson breezes around second, headed for third. First and third, nobody out. You can include Will Rhymes in their cast of young players, too.
He's got a nice little short stroke. Not intimidated by a left-hander, hitting over 400 this year in his major league at-bats versus left-handers.
Rhymes is 27, a little bit older than Jackson and Bosch and Casper Wells and Ryan Rayburn. Getting his first taste of big league pitching, and he likes it. First and third. Ryan Rayburn homered in his last at-bat, his 9th of the season.
You're down by 6 runs. You're going to trade a couple of outs for a run right now to try and help out your pitcher if the first 2 batters get on.
Rayburn's more experienced than the cast of Bosch and Wells and Jackson and Rhymes. They're getting his best opportunity in the last couple of years. Make a contribution. Another drive to left field. This ball is going to go out of the ballpark. Rayburn has done it again. His second home run of the afternoon. This a 3-run homer. 10-1 Tigers.
Rayburn has been swinging a very hot bat for the Tigers. He has jumped all over Carlson last time for a home run, and now Brian Talent doesn't waste any time. Once the ball down and away, it's down and in, right into the power zone of Mr. Rayburn. 337 average, 7 doubles, 6 homers over his last 22 games. Make that 8 home runs now.
Miguel Cabrera. Cabrera has 2 hits and RBI. He was also intentionally walked. He scored twice. He's behind 0-2.
Isn't it amazing what a little playing time will do for you? Ryan Rayburn was in and out of the lineup here and there, but the injury to Carlos Guillen and the injury to Maglio Ordonez has given him a chance to play regularly, and he has taken full advantage of it.
And Dave Dombrowski is here with the ball club. He's the general manager of the Tigers. He's pretty optimistic about where his club is headed. Cabrera drives it to the gap in right field. Travis Snyder, long run, makes the catch. Snyder got a pretty good jump on that ball. That ball hung up a little bit for him and allowed him to run underneath it and make the catch.
Yeah, a little bit too much air, and it was slicing back to him from Cabrera. Making a bid for his 3rd hit and another extra base hit. Drives it all the way to right center field. He's hoping for that ball to get down, but he's hit plenty of those. He knows that. He got that one a little bit too much up in the air.
First base, Johnny Peralta. Flynn just beats him to the bag. Dave Dombrowski, who started out in Montreal, went to Chicago with the White Sox, and he's done a great job here in Detroit. And he's one of those guys that's around the ball club a lot and always trying to maintain a great line of communication with his manager, seeing what he needs and how he wants to move forward with his ball club.
Does a good job of drafting big, strong pitchers. And the Tigers, from what I understand, are just stacked up in the minor leagues with a lot of good young pitching that we will probably see in the next couple of years.
That ball is popped up, foul ground. Lynn over near the wall, and now he's overrun it. He didn't see that ball, and once he got over near the wall, he wasn't even in the neighborhood.
I don't know what the problem is today with the pop-ups. This is the third time a ball has gone up and a Blue Jay defender has not been able to make the play.
Brandon Inge has hit 2 of them. 0-2, 2 outs. It is a tough sun day here. Bright sun high above Rogers Center. Cloudless sky, and you talk about that. That's what they call the high sky.
You don't have those clouds to try and give you a little depth perception. The ball goes up and just disappears. Even if you're wearing sunglasses, it's still tough to pick up. It's one thing that Lynn said after the game yesterday. What was the toughest thing about playing first base? Seeing the ball. And I agree. I've played first base here at this stadium on day games, and throws from the infielder is very tough to pick it up.
3-2. Two outs here in the 8th inning. The Tigers have pulled away in the late innings. Inge pops it up again. Tigers scored 2 in the 6th, 3 in the 7th, and 3 more here in the 8th. Three and two, 2 outs. Right back to Talent, knocks it down, recovers, throws Inge out at first. But the Tigers get 3 more runs. They are all over the Blue Jays, lead 10-1. Reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of Rogers Blue Jays Baseball Partnership. New first baseman for the Tigers will be Don Kelly. He gives Miguel Cabrera the rest of the day off.
Kelly has played a couple of different positions for Jim Leland. First, third, left, and center, so he'll take over for Cabrera. And taking over on the mound is Phil Koch, 7-3 with a 255 earned run average. The left-hander up there in appearances for the Detroit Tigers.
Koch was the losing pitcher here on Friday night in the 11th inning. Gave up the RBI base hit to Adam Lynn. He came on to work the 11th, got Adam Lynn. I said Aaron Hill. Aaron Hill got the game-winning hit off Koch on Friday night. Blue Jays with just 2 hits off Rick Porcello. Almost identical line to his last start against Kansas City. 7 innings, 2 hits.
Solid. Very solid outing. He was pounding the strike zone with all of his pitches. By my count, he did not have a walk. 4 strikeouts, just 2 hits. A single and the home run from John McDonald, and that was it.
Aaron Hill pops it up, shallow center field. Austin Jackson in. Makes the catch. 1 out here in the 8th. Take a look at Rick Porcello's pitching line. Came into this game with a 6-11 record, and he improved on those numbers dramatically.
He had line for win number 7 with a 9-run lead. Jimmy Leland gets him out. 7 innings, 101 pitches, and no walks.
To me, that's a quality start.
2 hits?
7 innings, 2 hits, no walks. Raise the standard a bit.
Yeah, I would take that from 6 innings, 3 runs to at least 7 innings and 2 runs.
Yeah,
that's quality.
Well, we're seeing a lot of good pitching this year, aren't we?
What's the earned run average on 6 innings and 3? 4.5, isn't it?
450.
What's so quality about that?
Nothing. Wasn't my idea.
I know it. We're just going to make some recommendations. That's all.
Little dribbler to second, backhanded by Rhymes in time to get Snyder. Take a look at the Blue Jays schedule and how it breaks down from this point to the end of the season. 33 games left. About a 50-50 split home and road. But look at the matchups. American League East, tough division.
I think you said it best, too. You're playing against teams, not just over 500, but they are going for pennants and trying to get into the playoffs. So they're going to be lining up their pitching staffs. They're going to be playing, laying down for some of those teams.
Baltimore and Seattle will be the only 2 teams that don't have postseason aspiration.
And this is not going to be the same Baltimore team that we have seen all season long.
And you always have the chance to run into Felix Hernandez when you face Seattle. Jose Molina.
You don't think some of the Baltimore Oriole players want a shot at the Blue Jays for what they have done to them this year?
12-0. Buck Showalter certainly not part of that, but he'd like to turn things around when his ball club takes on the Blue Jays. Blue Jays will have a home-and-home series against the Orioles in September. Gets back into the count. 2 balls and a strike. Blue Jays have really been shut down effectively. Bautista had the first hit of the game. McDonald had the solo home run. The only other base runner was Aaron Hill. Tough to score when you only have 3 guys get on base.
Fly balls, ground balls, a little bit of everything. I think Porcello was in control. Knew what he wanted to do and went out and did it. He retired the first 11 batters that he faced this afternoon.
Good cut by Molina. It's a full count.
It's a good thing, I think, that Jim Leland does, getting Phil Koch into this game here after giving up that walk-off hit the other day.
Right back on the mound. The Tigers, as we mentioned, will go from here to Minneapolis.
Get them back on the mound. Feel good about yourself heading into those next 2 series.
A pop-up. Right side. Kelly just into the game. Calls for it and makes the catch. Koch comes on and has an effective inning here in the 8th. The 1-2-3 inning. Casey Jansen comes on to work the 9th. Tomorrow night, 7:10 Eastern Time on Rogers Sportsnet will be Brett Cecil up against Wade Davis. Tuesday night, Ricky Romero against Jeff Neiman. Both Davis and Neiman just fresh off the disabled list. They've made one start since their return. Wednesday, Sean Markham, David Price, and for a second consecutive start, Sean Markham goes up against a tough pitcher. He had Verlander the last time out, contrasting styles, but he held his own.
It's about 15 times now that he's going to be matched up against the other team's number one, and Tampa might have the most complete pitching staffs in the American League.
5 10-game winners in their rotation. Casey Jansen starts things off here. Comes on in relief of Brian Talent. That was their first pitch strike to Brennan Bosch. A broken bat dribbler to second. Hill quickly in time to get Bosch one out. Jansen pitched in the first game of this series. Pitched an inning and a third, gave up 2 hits and 1 earned run, had a strikeout. That was in relief of Ricky Romero, who was roughed up by the Tigers. Casper Wells takes the first pitch strike from Jansen. Popped into the air in center field. Mike McCoy took over for Vernon Wells the last inning, makes the catch.
2 up, 2 down very quickly for Casey Jansen. That's more like it for him. He likes to work quick. And when he is working on a downward plane and keeping the ball down, that's where he'll get a lot of his strikeouts. Former starter for the Blue Jays. Had some arm problems, and they've moved him into the bullpen.
Alex Avila, the catcher. Could be a quick inning for Jansen. Hill for a second time, just 5 pitches in the ninth. Casey Jansen has our quick 9th inning. Blue Jays one more chance. They trail 9-9. A chance to win prizes in the Burger King Super Fan Contest. Before this game this afternoon, we had a Dave Steve celebration honoring his no-hitter. He was on the field with many of his former teammates. He was presented with a beautiful picture done by Vernon Wells and Cito Gaston and the 4 starters in the rotation honoring Steve's no-hitter. Good day for Dave. We had him on, and he was really moved by the ceremony and all the emotions of this great day.
Got to throw out the first pitch, and he threw it to Brandon Moore. I thought that was symbolic, passing of the torch, if you will, to the next best thing, I think. Morrow's got some outstanding stuff, and so does the guy on the mound. Jose Valverde, the closer from the Detroit Tigers, will take over. Valverde, we have not seen him in this series. 24 for 26 in saves. He had a 24 straight save opportunity snapped his last time out. He had saved every game since April the 9th, but Kansas City got him. Great numbers for Valverde.
Valverde needs some work, as Pat mentioned, his first appearance in this series. Fred Lewis chases the higher fastball. Valverde in his first year with the Tigers. Signed with Detroit as a free agent January 25th of this year. Had 25 saves with Houston last year. Oh, 0-2.
Got to dial it up against Valverde because he throws very hard. Problem he had in his last outing, the one where he gave up the lead against Kansas City, is he was talking about it after the game. He said his splitter was just darting all over the place. Could not control it. And that is the pitch that he will get a lot of strikeouts with.
0-2. Up and away at 97. That's a great combination, have that kind of velocity and then throw that split finger fastball. Two different planes for hitters to deal with. See him working on that grip as he gets set on the rubber. There's that splitter. Hit off the plate. Tough play for Peralta. He didn't have one. Infield hit for Fred Lewis. Just the third hit for the Blue Jays this afternoon.
Right off the top of home plate. That's got no chance to get Fred Lewis. There is the splitter. Look at the grip, how far he puts it back between those two fingers, and that one right off the top of the plate. No chance to get Lewis as he picks up his first hit of the day. Watch it bounce off that spongy turf and over the head of Peralta.
Anytime the sun beats down on this field all afternoon, that ball really bounces all over the place. Oh, John McDonald swings at the first pitch. Fred Lewis was off and running as the Tigers are playing behind Lewis at first. McDonald with that home run last time up. Fourth home run of the season. That ties his career high. No balls and a strike. Inside. Base hit for John McDonald. Second hit of the afternoon. He got jammed and fights it off.
Breaks his bat. Johnny Mack has a multi-hit game. Valverde is still struggling.
Isn't it interesting how many times closers will come in because they need work and struggle? You look at McDonald, got that ball off the end of the bat and gets enough of it to put it in play.
Non-save situations when closers come in. I don't know if the adrenaline is not pumping as hard or they don't feel like they have to make pitches, but you're right. Every time they come in, it seems like they're always in trouble. And now, one-on-one.
Power against power. Bautista 1 for 3 today. Popped up a couple of times. Big arm of Jose Valverde. Popped up behind the Tigers dugout and out of play.
Did she get the ball? A pop up by Bautista. hit a fan right on top of the head.
The ball's in a strike to Bautista. 2 on. Fastball at the knees. 0-2. I don't care what the score is. You hate to give away an at-bat. Bautista felt that ball was off the plate.
And he doesn't give away at-bats. Got a chance to drive in his 100th run of the season. So you know he is bearing down right here against Valverde.
0-2. Pop this one a mile high behind home plate, but again back into the seats.
Jose was talking before the game and what it means for him to drive in 100 runs. Early in the year, remember, he was hitting first in the lineup. It was more about taking pitches and getting on and scoring runs for the team. But when Cito Gaston moved him down into the batting order, started getting hot, hitting home runs, and felt like he really had a shot at driving in 100 runs, and here he sits.
Behind Valverde, 0-2. There's that splitter. The late break took it over the inner half of the plate. Bautista's called out. That was a nasty pitch.
Yeah. Couple of hard fastballs, and look at the grip again, how far he tucks it down into those fingers. He's got big hands that allows him to control it like that and throw it that hard. Caught the inside corner, plenty high enough. Just a tough pitch.
Mike McCoy hits for the first time this afternoon. He took over defensively in the 8th inning for Vernon Wells. Goes after the first pitch. Wells was 0 for 3. McCoy just recalled from AAA Las Vegas. Edwin Encarnacion was placed on the disabled list with a sprained ligament in his wrist. 0-2.
What are you looking for here? I don't think it's any surprise.
This is what Valverde wants to do. Taking this opportunity to work on that splitter, you bet. Let that one up, and McCoy hits it into right field. Wells makes the catch. Base runners will hold their ground. Stay tuned right after the game for Sportsnet Connected with Jamie Campbell. Blue Jays post-game reaction along with highlights and preview from a beautiful, busy Sunday afternoon in Major League Baseball. Jamie Campbell, Sportsnet Connected right after the game. Two outs now. Adam Lind 0 for 3. Blue Jays with just 4 hits on the afternoon. Porcello gave up 2, and Valverde has given up 2 here in the ninth. Pop back out of play.
What's Adam Lind saying right now? It's 10-1. There's 2 outs in the bottom of the ninth inning, and you're throwing the off-speed pitches. But the relievers, they got their ERA they're worried about, too.
Yeah, they sure do. And certainly, this kind of simulates the situations that Valverde will be in close situations. He's got himself into a jam. He's got a couple guys on. And a tough hitter at the plate. So this is actually serving Valverde very well to get into a jam like this, even though the score is 10-1. Got himself into this situation, and now he can kind of envision a save opportunity, if you will, even though the score is lopsided.
He's a strikeout pitcher. So if he gets himself into trouble, he's got that splitter that he can lean on to pick up big strikeouts.
95. Valverde has thrown 17 pitches. The Tigers have the off day tomorrow in Minnesota. They will play the Twins on Tuesday. So he needed to work here. He hadn't pitched in the series until this ninth inning.
has also had just 26 save opportunities this year. 24 saves. His numbers are outstanding, but he just hasn't had the opportunities like a Mariano Rivera or a Jonathan Papelbon. Kevin Gregg has had 35 chances this year. Valverde just 26, and he's been good on 24 of them.
Breaking ball hit deep to right field. This ball is out of here. 3-run home run for Lynn. Valverde hung that splitter, and Lynn hammered it.
You know, he showed it to him early in the count. First pitch, he went with the splitter. And then when he got the count to 2, he goes right back to it. Now Lind has already seen it. He stays back a little bit better this time. Not out on that front foot. He's got enough to generate it out of the ballpark. Hanger stays back on it. Second home run this series for Adam Lind.
John Buck, the DH. 0 for 3. And with that home run, 3 more ribbies. Now he has 19 homers and 61 driven in. Getting to an area of respectability.
Yeah, and finish up really strong in September. Bautista last year had 10 homers in September.
Ball on the strike to John Buck. 2 outs here in the ninth. It's a 10-4 game. Ball in 2 strikes. Valverde, and boy, we have seen this so many times. You bring a closer in just to get some work, and they give up some runs. The adrenaline's just not pumping.
They end up throwing a lot of pitches also. But they have the off day, like you said, tomorrow, so it shouldn't bother them.
John Buck into center field. Austin Jackson won't get there. Bounces in front of him. John Buck has his first hit of the day. 4 hits off Valverde here in the ninth. Aaron Hill reached on an error in the 5th. Two outs. Man at first base. Hopped up a mile high over near the rail. Inge hangs in there and couldn't make the play on it.
There's a little section that sticks out right where that ball was, and Inge couldn't get into the first row where that ball landed.
That revolving signboard down the line, and just couldn't get up against the wall right in there as that juts out about 2 feet.
Just couldn't reach around. It was playable, but that little spot right there couldn't get him into that first row.
0-1. Valverde's now thrown 25 pitches. Not exactly what Jim Leland had on his mind. Come in here, get a little work. Thank you very much. Center field, but not deep. Austin Jackson is there, and this should do it. The Tigers win in big fashion. They scored 10 runs on 12 hits today and pound out 3 home runs. They split the 4-game series with the Blue Jays.
What a day for the young players for the Detroit Tigers. Rayburn with a couple of home runs. Austin Jackson got it started with a base hit. Rick Porcello with 7 very solid innings. The Tigers right there in the Central.
The Blue Jays will pack up their mats and head south, take on Tampa Bay tomorrow night. We will be there for all the action. Stay tuned. Connected next.